I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, as Mayor Bob Filner begins an intensive therapy program, questions are raised about his recent trip to Mexico. And his former communications director is meeting with investigators from the Sheriff's Department.
I'm Peggy Pico. How does San Diego move forward during the mayor's scandal? That was the focus of this year's Politifest at Liberty Station. But first, the mayor spends his first day in behavioral therapy. How one San Diego behavioral re-education program works.
Also tonight, Major League Baseball suspends more than a dozen players in a doping case, including 2 Padres. No more purses, backpacks, or seat cushions at Charger games. The NFL's got new rules at Qualcomm. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us. San Diego Mayor Bob Filner is now in a 2-week behavioral therapy program at an undisclosed location to address what he calls intimidating behavior and a failure to respect women. The mayor is reportedly getting briefings twice a day on city business. Today, Filner's former communications director talked with investigators from the county sheriff's department. It's the lead agency investigating sexual harassment accusations against the mayor. McCormick Jackson was the first woman to publicly accuse him. Now, 10 women have stepped forward saying they were the target of unwanted advances by Filner. Most San Diegans can't decide what they find more jolting about the sexual harassment scandal surrounding the mayor, the unsavory allegations, or the silence of those who knew of the claims and did nothing. KPBS investigative reporter Amitha Sharma says many believe Filner enjoyed impunity for years solely because of the power of his position.
San Diego's trade mission to Mexico City this April was billed as a chance to forge stronger cross-border ties. But people on the trip say it was also a chance for Mayor Filner to troll for women. And troll he did, says Sharon Cloward.
Several women told me, and others, that he had touched them inappropriately or he had talked to them inappropriately.
Cloward was on the trip. She's one of several women to publicly accuse Filner of unwanted sexual advances. Her alleged encounters took place before the Mexico trip. That's why she says she asked for a room at the Intercontinental Presidente Hotel in Mexico City that was not on the same floor as Filner's. Sources say a second woman on the trade mission complained to her boss about Filner and then stayed in her room for the rest of the trip. Another woman reportedly left in the middle of a meal because she could no longer take his crude behavior. And sources say yet a third woman got persistent text messages from the mayor asking her out. Of the 8 women on the mission, sources say Filner sent out sexual signals to at least 4. Several felt uncomfortable sharing their stories publicly because they believe they need the city's support for their jobs. But what about the 50 men on the trip, some of whom represent the who's who in San Diego's business world? What did they see? What did they know?
I didn't know about it.
Former Mayor Jerry Sanders attended the trade mission as head of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. He says he's ready to stand with the women if they should decide to speak out. But he's not surprised that others who may have known about Filner's alleged sexual antics in Mexico City did not.
They're afraid of what's going to happen to their business, their employees. I mean, the power imbalance is so great there that it's just something you don't think about until you're stuck in that situation.
Power dynamics are why public silence trumped private outrage despite years of whispers that Filner was harassing women.
But make no mistake about it, Bob Filner, notwithstanding his current situation, has a lot of power in this community. And there are a lot of people still supporting him, either publicly or privately. He has the ability to impact a whole lot of people's interests in a lot of ways.
Many now say Filner abused that power with the help of key players, labor unions and Democratic Party leaders who ignored the alleged harassment for years because they liked his progressive agenda, as well as others who stood to gain.
And we're moving us forward. Thank you so much.
Anybody that's going to be on a trade mission with the mayor presumably perceives themselves as on the inside. And I've been in politics in this town for 34 years, and what I've perceived is that when people see themselves on the inside, they don't want to do anything at all to harm that position.
The same may apply to Filner's staffers. Former congressional aide Laura Fink documented Filner's alleged inappropriate touching in a 2005 email to the then congressman and his aide Tony Buckles. He was recently brought into City Hall as Filner's chief of staff after the sexual harassment scandal broke. But Buckles left the post soon after Fink shared her story publicly. San Diego Mesa College political scientist Carl Luna says because the aides depend on Filner for their own power, morality can take a back seat to self-interest, loyalty, and fear. He says the scandal also shows society may not have advanced very far from the Mad Men era of the 1960s.
We still have a male culture in this country that says that, hey, what you can do and get away with women, it's fine because you got the power, go ahead and use it.
College administrator Lisa Curtin is also among the several women who've publicly accused Filner of unwanted advances. She believes those who kept silent about Filner's alleged misconduct enabled him and failed women.
They've seen it, they've thought it was funny, and they supported keeping his secrets. I think that it says that there's a lot of work that has to be done.
Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
Now, the mayor's office did not respond to our request for comment. Filner checked into a residential treatment program earlier today. Of course, he's not the first to get help for behavioral problems in the workplace. Peggy Pico explains how a San Diego program uses patented therapy for re-educating employees.
More than 11,000 complaints were filed in California with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission last year. Some employees accused of boundary-crossing behavior must attend remediation programs to keep their job. Here with some insight on how one such program works is Elizabeth Becker, licensed clinical social worker and creator of the original Professional Boundaries program here in San Diego. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, tell us about this program. What kind of behavior gets you into your program?
There's a range of unprofessional conduct, everything ranging from inappropriate comments to sexual misconduct, including sexual harassment, can cause a person to be referred to our program.
And who's there? This is for professionals, for doctors?
The focus is primarily on the healthcare industry, so we see physicians, we do see nurses, we also see dentists, therapists, mostly people in the healthcare industry who hold a license.
Professional Boundaries is a remediation program. How is that different from, let's say, a therapy program?
Well, treatment programs are really designed to address somebody who's been identified as having behavior that's driven or highly influenced by some sort of psychopathology. So they've been given some sort of diagnosis. And remediation is more of an education and training program that's used to correct behavior that is not necessarily secondary to some sort of psychiatric impairment.
Within this program, boundary crossing is differentiated, let's say, from harassment. How do they differ?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
Boundary crossings is a kind of a generic term, and sexual harassment falls within that category of a boundary crossing or a boundary violation. So there, if you were to think of boundary violations as having a range, sexual harassment would be on the higher end of that range, and maybe something like a dual relationship would be at the lower end of that boundary crossing range.
And you have a couple of examples. Let's say physicians may be doing some inappropriate things. Is that involve the touch, or does that go into sexual harassment?
Well, it depends on what kind of physician you're talking about. So psychiatry, OBGYNs, people who, physicians who have a lot of patients where there's either a great deal of disrobing from the waist down involved versus a surgeon or another kind of physician who wouldn't have access to a patient in that way.
Let's get into the workshop. Actually, it's a 3-day, I believe, psychoeducational course. That's what you call it. What are sort of the steps and components? What can you do in 3 days?
Well, what we began to do is first to educate them. The primary focus of the program is to get them to take a look at themselves and the things that influence their behavior. So we're looking at both their cognitive thought process as well as how that thinking process triggers their behavior or causes them to make certain decisions. We do a brief screening at the beginning. It's not a full evaluation, but we do look to see whether or not there's any other components or factors that are contributing to their potential misconduct. And so we start on the first day by having them take a look at what's going on inside of them, the way they think about things, their values and beliefs. And then the second day we have them look at their behavior, how that translates into what they do or don't do. And then on the third day we work with them to develop a commitment to change contract, and that is basically how things are going to be different once they enter the program.
How they can take what they have learned.
Yes.
There's a lot more about that on our website. People can talk about, they can find out a whole lot more about the actual program. But I wanted to ask you, what if somebody has a mental health issue? What if it's truly that this is some sort of episode that's a mental health? What do you do then?
Well, first of all, we try to identify what that is, and then we make referrals for them. So we make sure that if alcohol or drugs are a factor, or if there's marital stress or any kind of other life event or anxiety that's contributing to their behavior, we make sure that they get hooked up with the people who can provide them with the full range of care.
What's your success rate?
Our success rate is highly dependent upon how motivated they are and the follow-up program. The follow-up program is really important because that's the place where we have an opportunity to provide them with ongoing support. And that's what Mr. Filner is going to need. He's going to need ongoing support and treatment throughout this process in order to have a full success.
All right, Elizabeth Becker with Inner Solutions for Success. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The mayor's chief of staff made her deadline to turn over documents related to the Jackson McCormick lawsuit. The city attorney's office threatened to sue Lee Burdick if she didn't turn them over. She had been withholding them, claiming attorney-client privilege. Now, a new poll out says support for Filner is still declining. The survey from 10 News and UT San Diego says 77% of those polled want him to resign. Just 16% want Filner to remain in office. The pollsters found people evenly split about the allegations against the mayor. 44% say the sexual harassment claims were their chief concern. Another 44% saying they were most troubled by claims the mayor took money from developers in return for approving their projects. The state assembly speaker is now joining calls for Filner to step down. Today, John Perez told reporters he doesn't know why Filner hasn't resigned, and he doesn't think a recall is a good option.
But I think a recall is really the worst possible option in terms of the interests of the people of San Diego. That means it's a prolonged fight leading up to the recall and then an election to see who replaces him. I think the better resolution for the interest of the state is his resignation.
Moving San Diego past the mayor's troubles was a main topic at the annual Politifest over the weekend. Peggy Pico has this update.
Joining me with the outcome of this year's Politifest are Voice of San Diego CEO Scott Lewis and San Diego City Council member Kevin Faulkner, who was part of the forum on moving the city forward this past weekend. And welcome.
Welcome, thanks.
Welcome. We were there. Yeah. So, Scott, who else besides Councilman Faulkner was on the panel?
So we had Councilman Mark Kersey, the Council President Todd Gloria, Assemblywomen Tony Atkins and Lorena Gonzalez, and Jan Goldsmith, the city attorney. And I thought it was a great discussion. I asked them basically the same question: what do we do now? You all want to move on from the leadership we have at the city, so what now?
So moving forward, did you get some unusual answers?
Yeah, we did. There was. I had to ask Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez and her Democratic counterparts, what they knew about the mayor leading up, and how can we make sure that doesn't happen in the future, and that produced some colorful responses. And then also, Jan Goldsmith had this very important moment where he said that as he goes through this legal process and depositions or whatever for the city's legal troubles regarding this issue, that he's going to give the city Mayor Filner an out, some kind of deal or something that would get him out of office. So I needed to follow up on that. Maybe I'll do some writing on that later. But there were a lot of little moments like that caught my ear.
Definitely, and we'll come back to a couple of those. But Councilman Faulkner, I want to ask you first, what was your message? Why did you want to be there?
It was a great discussion, and I appreciate the Voice bringing everybody together. Great panel, bipartisan panel. My message was very clear and very simple. We're better than Bob Filner as a city. We will get through this. It's very difficult, but at the same time, we're going to make sure that the city functions as best we can. But also, if the mayor truly had the best interests of San Diego at heart, he would do the right thing and step aside and resign. And I hope he does.
And I understand everyone on the panel was in support of the mayor resigning. How come there wasn't anybody there who said, no, we want him to stay?
Well, I think it's demonstrative of just how unified and how much consensus there is on this particular point. Now, the mayor does have some defenders, but I think there's people who aren't willing to call for his recall or for his resignation, but there's a big gap between them then wanting to make a huge public case. We had his director of planning, Bill Fulton, on for an hour before that to talk about the mayor's vision for neighborhoods and how that was going forward. And I thought that was a productive discussion. The mayor was technically still confirmed to be at Politifest and never told us he wasn't coming. We assumed that would probably be the outcome.
And he did not show, just to be clear.
He did not, no. And so we wanted to have a discussion. Look, this was kind of a put this in their plate. You guys say the current leader is somebody who needs to leave, so what do we do now then? And I really wanted to push them, too, to answer some tough questions about whether they would support things like a recall, which I don't think they all were entirely comfortable with.
Okay, and Councilman Faulkner, how well or how poorly is the city functioning right now during this 3 weeks so far and counting scandal?
Well, we don't have a mayor who's here, first and foremost. He's actually gone. Out of town somewhere, presumably. I'm not sure where he is. We also have a mayor that has effectively lost his ability to govern this city. And so, some of the day-to-day city operations will move forward. But our mayor is absent. We're a big city. We're a full-time city. We need a full-time mayor. And to have all of this continue to go on, this continued chaos, this continued turmoil, it's not serving our city very well. It's not serving our neighborhoods very well, which is why all of us on that panel, were very united. The mayor needs to resign and step aside. I don't know what he's going to do. I really hope he does not put this city through the time and the expense of a recall, but only he can answer that question.
Were you encouraged by, I'll start with you and I'll come back to you, were you encouraged by the idea if the mayor does not resign or the recall effort is not successful, were there some suggestions and ideas that said how we could move forward and basically manage the city with this mayor?
No, not at all. This is a very difficult situation, I think, that we're going to be in. And look, we can not have a mayor, as we described, my organization would survive without me, would keep operating. The question is what a leader actually does to push an organization to adapt, to find partnerships, to innovate, to go in different directions. That's what a leader does. And that takes a lot of not just a power in legal terms, but also influence and persuasiveness, and I don't know that he has that.
And Councilman, I'll let you in with this. What do you think? Is there a plan being developed in case this drags on for the next 3.5 years?
Well, we're going to come together as a council and make sure that we are holding the administration accountable and responsible, and we are going to make sure that the day-to-day operations of the city function. But it's in everyone's interest, this entire city's interest, to put this behind us as quickly as possible. And as I mentioned before, only Bob Filner can make that decision. And I hope he makes the right decision on behalf of all San Diegans, because we're such a great city. We are so much better than what's happening. And he needs to do the right thing.
All right, there's a whole lot more of this conversation on our website, kpbs.org. Councilman Kevin Faulkner, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Voice of San Diego, Scott Lewis, thank you.
Thank you.
You can find all of our coverage of this ongoing story online at kpbs.org/news/Filner. In other news tonight, 13 Major League players are being suspended in a drug case, the most sweeping punishment in baseball since the Black Sox scandal nearly a century ago. The suspended players include Alex Rodriguez of the Yankees, the game's highest-paid player. He plans to fight it. 2 San Diego Padres have also been suspended. Shortstop Everth Cabrera is out for 50 games, losing nearly $350,000 in salary. Also suspended for 50 games, pitcher Fontino de los Santos, currently with the Padres AA team in San Antonio.
I think the events of the last 2 weeks for the issue at large and what Major League Baseball and the Players Association have done, I think this is a positive step.
All the players are linked to Biogenesis, an anti-aging clinic in Florida, accused of distributing performance-enhancing drugs. PBS NewsHour will have more on today's suspensions coming up at 7. San Diego Chargers have taken steps to increase security at Qualcomm Stadium this football season as the NFL adopts new rules limiting the size and type of bags fans can bring into the stadium. The new rules won't affect tailgate parties in the stadium parking lot, but you won't be able to bring coolers, backpacks, or even seat cushions inside anymore. Camera bags are also banned, but you can carry your camera and cell phone.
As you come through now, you show your ticket, it's scanned. You put these in your hands, you're wanted, you're in 5 seconds.
Vince De La Montagne with the NFL says the changes will make the stadium more secure and hopefully speed up the entrance time for fans to get in their seats. It requires any items brought into the stadium be clearly visible. So you now have to put your food, water, or snacks in a resealable plastic bag, no larger than a gallon. Large purses are banned, but you can bring a small clutch purse with or without a handle.
This should speed up our process. This should make it easier. It will be difficult. Change is difficult initially, but it's a win-win situation for all of us. Just like the change at Charger Park, it's exciting. This will be beneficial to all of us.
Security will also alert the large number of trolley riders at various stops before they get to the stadium so they don't get turned away. The NFL was already considering new bag restrictions even before the marathon bombing in Boston. The new rules will be in play at Thursday's preseason game when the Chargers take on the Seattle Seahawks. So you can either bring your own 1-gallon size resealable plastic bag like this one, or you can purchase one like this from the stadium for about $6. The San Diego County Clerk has withdrawn his legal bid to stop same-sex marriages. Ernie Dronenberg says he did it because the backers of Proposition 8 have filed a case of their own. Last month, he petitioned for an injunction on same-sex marriages, saying counties needed legal guidance on whether they're required to give licenses for them. The state Supreme Court denied his request. Management of UT San Diego calling foul over the purchase of the Boston Globe. It was bought by the owner of the Red Sox for $70 million. UT CEO John Lynch says they offered more money and says he was misled by the Globe's ongoing owner, the New York Times. Lynch wants the Times to repay the UT for expenses from its bid for the Globe. Well, one of the prominent leaders of San Diego's biotech industry has died. Dwayne Roth was CEO of Connect, an organization promoting entrepreneurship and technology. He was also vice chairman of California's Stem Cell Agency and was about to become chairman of La Jolla's Sanford Burnham Medical Research Institute. Roth died Saturday from injuries suffered in a biking accident last month. He was 63. We're now 150 days away from 2014. That's when the majority of the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, kicks in. Joining us for our weekly Q&A on the law is our Speak City Heights reporter, Megan Burks. This week, what military personnel can expect. So, Megan, who's asking our question this week?
Well, Dan Matthews is retired, and he kind of has the perfect setup. His condo is across the street from a golf course and a block or two from the hospital. And that second part is pretty important. He's a Vietnam veteran and at risk of having seizures because of an injury he sustained in a bunker strike. He now has a doctor whom he really trusts, and he doesn't want to see that change. Here's his question.
My question is, I'm retired military and wondering, with the Affordable Care Act, how will my benefits be affected? Used to be communicating with TRICARE. Do I have another insurance company that I would deal with?
Will Obamacare change anything for him?
No, Dan has the military health plan TRICARE, and it already meets all of the benefits requirements set by the Affordable Care Act. So the federal government is essentially leaving it alone, and the same goes for the VA health system.
So that's it, huh?
For Dan, yes, but there's one note for military personnel with kids. You may have heard that children can stay on their parents' health plans until age 26. That's not the case with these military health plans. For more details and to ask your own Affordable Care Act question, go to kpbs.org/ACA.
Speak City Heights reporter Megan Burks.
I'm Jeffrey Brown. On the next NewsHour, Major League Baseball weighs stiff penalties for stars linked to doping. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
San Diego weather a little overcast tonight. Coastal temperatures will be in the 70s over the next couple of days, 80s in the inland valleys. Sunny with temperatures in the 80s in the mountains as well. Temperatures over 100 degrees in the desert. You can find tonight's stories and download the KPBS app all on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Good night.